Hi, this is Patricia Stepler with Your Inside Power, and I welcome you to this show where you're going to learn how to utilize the inside thoughts and the powers that you have to create the life that you choose. Today's topic is all about the words we say and the thoughts we think and how they impact our lives. And they truly do impact our lives. In fact, the other day I was listening to this lady, I was talking to her about my program that I have, and she was talking about how this was a struggle and that was a struggle. Well, it was only a struggle because that's what she was telling herself. And you see, the words you say are so important. And the thoughts that you think are so important because they come into fruition for you. That's how you connect with the universe. So today's topic is, how do we change our thinking so that we can change our life? And it is a matter of understanding that we have the power and the control to change our life by simply changing the thoughts we think and the words we say to ourselves and what we tell ourselves. You know, there are estimated 30,000 thoughts going around your head every single day. What are those thoughts telling you? Now, you're not thinking all those thoughts, because if you did, you'd be exhausted. But those thoughts are still going in your head, and they're traveling around and they're holding you back. So we have to learn how to change those thoughts so that you absolutely can change your life. So the thoughts that you think are either serving you well or they're not serving you well. And you have to figure out what it is that you want. So you have to know what you want so you know what thoughts will serve you well. Raymond Holliwell says, all failures in life are due to taking sides with the finite around us. All successes in life is due to taking sides with the law within us. As I said in the last episode, there's universal laws, and we are operating with them whether we realize it or not. And we're either working with them and we're in harmony with the laws, or we are not in harmony with the laws and we are causing our own conflicts in our life. So we have to decide what it is that we want and how we can work in harmony with those laws. Anyone can do it. You just have to plan. So we have to first create the kind of life that we want. What is it that we're after? What is it that you want so much that you're willing to burn the bridges and go after it? That's a really good question, because a lot of people, maybe they're not sure. They don't think they can do it because they don't have the confidence inside themselves. And that we need to change too, because you will never outperform the image you hold of yourself. So whatever image you have in your head of what you can accomplish or what you deserve or what you have, and that controls the results that you're getting. So that may be the very first thing we have to work on changing, is the image you hold of yourself, because you will never outperform it. It's not possible. And I know people don't like to say things are impossible. And for a person that's positive like I am, they say, but you say it's impossible. Well, that is. It's just not possible to become somebody you don't believe you can be. It just doesn't work that way. You have to change your self-image, and that's an inside job, which is why when Raymond Holliwell says it's taking sides with the law within us, that's what he's talking about, the laws that are within us. And that's one of them. And we have to be able to change our thinking. We have these very strong paradigms, or habitual habits and habitual thought patterns that are instilled in our subconscious mind. Some of them you place there, many of them you did not place there. They come from generational training. They come from all kinds of things that have happened to you or things that have been said to you, and they just form in there, and they're very tight. Now, this is really fun when I talk about generational. So last week I was on a cruise, and I was trained by Bob Proctor. I was even a personal student of his for a year. And so my training came from Bob. Well, of course, we lost Bob about a year ago, and his grandson was on the cruise with us. And every once in a while, I would watch him walk, and it just reminded me of Bob. He walked at certain times he walked the same way Bob walked. And there were certain times when he would stand there and have this look, it was just like Bob. And I thought, that's what we're talking about, this generational thought patterns that go through us that actually are part of who we are. And I remember one time at a class reunion, somebody saying to me, "Oh, you act and you look so much like your mom." Well, that's because of that hereditary part. And that's what I saw that last week with Bob's grandson. So you have to realize that some of it is generational thought patterns that you also have that have been instilled in there through generations. And you have to be willing and able to change them. Now, are you able? Yes, most people are able. Are you willing? That's the bigger question. So we have to think, and we have to begin to figure out who we really are and what do we really want. And we don't spend a lot of time doing that. Most people don't really know who they are. They've never really taken the time to discover who they are. They've never even thought that maybe that's a possibility, something they need to do. But we have to figure out who we are and what we really want. Most of us don't really know what we want. You've got to figure that out. And so often we go after what we think somebody else thinks we should want. And we don't really think for ourselves. We have to start learning to think for ourselves. And then we have to go inside of us to get those answers. The answers are all inside of us. We just have to help bring them out. And when I coach with clients, that's my job. My job isn't to tell them what they should do or what they should want. That's not my business. That's their business. What I have to do is to help them to find that inside of them and to draw that out. And that's what a really good coach will do. It will draw out of you what it is that you want and who you really are. I remember some of the administrators I worked with when I was a teacher, and the very best of them drew out of me things I didn't know was there. And they made me a better person because they mentored me and they helped me to become better at what I was doing. And that's what a good coach or a good mentor does. So we have to realize that thinking is not taught. We have to learn how to think, and we have to maybe even be taught how to think. And that's the one program I use, Thinking Results. That's exactly what it does. It helps you to learn how to think and how to think for yourself and how to go inside you. Because some of you might say, well, I don't understand what that means. Well, that's what I can help you with. You hop on a call with me and we'll talk about that. But we have to start shifting our thinking from lack and limitation to abundance. And there's certainly enough lack and limitation out there. There's not a day that you don't look at headlines and see lack. Today, I happened to see a headline. It was talking about all these layoffs that were coming, and big businesses and tech firms and so on. They were laying off people. That's lack and limitation. So if you're one of those people, you get worried, and we cannot allow worry. Worry actually creates more problems. So we have to look at what's happening, and we have to think abundance. We have to think about the good that we can do. Do you know that during the Depression, that there were a lot of millionaires made during the Depression? Why? Because they didn't think depression. They were looking for what they could do to get ahead, and they were thinking abundance. And so a lot of millionaires were created during the Great Depression. So it's all about your thinking. So everything is possible that we believe we can do within our reach in the natural world. Anything's possible. And I believe that when we get an idea of something we want to do, something we want to become, we have all the skills and talents available to make that happen. Now, whether we do is another question, but within us, we have all the skills and talents to do that. And all we have to do is to figure out what we can ask the universe to help us with, because the universe knows more than we do. We can decide on a plan, we can map it out, but we have to be willing and open for something unexpected, because we don't know everything. And so we have to be able to relate to the universe in that expectation of what is we want and that abundance thinking. Nature is abundant. Let's think about this. Nature is very abundant, and nature also expects us to be abundant. It's not like nature says, oh yeah, I can produce 100 plants out of one tomato, but I don't expect you to be able to do anything close to that. No, that's not what nature says. If you think about a tomato plant, and you think about having a tomato and all those seeds within that tomato can make another plant. So maybe that tomato has 20 seeds. Now you have 20 plants, but within that tomato, and when it produces tomatoes, how many more hundreds of plants would that one plant be able to produce if you took all those seeds from the tomato? And that's the abundance. And I remember this so distinctly one day. I was studying abundance and thinking about abundance, and I came to a T in the road, and I was at this light, and I looked in front of me, and there was trees, just thousands upon thousands of trees. And all of a sudden it just hit me. That's what abundance is. That's abundance when you look in front of you and you just see thousands of trees. That's an abundant universe, and that's abundance in nature. So the universal intelligence doesn't want us to live in poverty and in lack. It wants us to be rich. It wants us to have an abundant life. It's our choice to live in lack and limitation, not the universe. Jesus in the Bible says, and all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. Did you hear that word, believing? Believing is key. You see, we can want things and we can have it as a wish, and that's lovely. But if we don't believe we deserve it, it's not going to happen. There has to be belief. You have to believe with all your heart that it's going to happen. And when you believe with all your heart that it's going to happen, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because it has to happen. So what would a little bit of investment in yourself in this kind of information do for you? You know, we always hear about, investing in property, investing in stocks. The very best investment you can ever make is in your mind, because your thinking will alter your entire life, and you will be able to bring things to you that you never, ever expected. And I know that to be true because that's what's happened to me. I see it happening with my children. They have the most wonderful things happening to them because they have an expectation, and they believe in who they are, and they believe in what they can do. And that's the kind of belief you have to have, that it's going to happen. So keep that in mind. The very best investment you can have is in your own thinking and in your own mind. In the Bible, it says, faith as small as a mustard seed. A mustard seed is like the smallest seed there is. Faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. Now, it may not be the physical mountain, it's the mountain in our head. It can move. The faith as small as a mustard seed, the belief that something great is going to happen in your life, the belief that you can do something that maybe right now you don't think you can do, but that belief can move mountains, and it can create such abundance in your life. So it's a matter of being determined and making a decision. So the first thing I said was, how do we change our thinking to change our results? Start with changing your thinking. Make a decision. Profess that decision. Tell somebody. When you tell somebody, be very careful. Tell somebody who is going to encourage you. Because what happens to a lot of times, and people that, they mean well, they love you, but they don't want you to get hurt. And so they don't want you to expect something that they don't believe was going to happen. So when you tell somebody what it is your goal is, make sure it's somebody you believe in or that believes in you. That's why I do believe in coaching and do believe in mentoring, because those are the people that believe in you. They see something in you that you maybe don't see in yourself. And maybe, your loved ones, your siblings, your parents, your children, maybe they don't see it in you either. But when you have somebody from the outside that is helping you to accomplish, and somebody that believes and knows that people can do so much more than they can, and they're believing in you, it's totally different. So that small seed can make such a difference. You've got to start visualizing what it is that you want. Right now, I'm visualizing one of my next goals. And I have a bunch of different goals and different things. But right now, I'm visualizing as I'm speaking with you, because I know that's how I achieved a similar type goal a number of years ago. So if it worked then, it will work again, right? So you have to look at what it is you have to visualize. You have to become emotionally involved. You have to think about it more than just once a year. Think about it daily, multiple times a day, and start to believe that it's going to happen. The future will pour out to you when you develop the greatness in your mind. It starts with your thinking. It always starts with your thinking. I hear people say, mindset's everything. And that's very true. Mindset is everything. Here's what happens though. We don't know how to change a mindset. So we know that mindset's everything. But what do we do to create the mindset? We have to become somebody different. We have to create the person we want to be. We have to believe that we can do the things that we want to do. And we have to be able to shift our mindset in that way. You can't just flick on a switch and shift your mindset. Well, maybe some people can, but I don't believe you can, because the paradigms are so strong and they will pull you right back. So if you want abundance, you have to believe in abundance, and you have to believe that you deserve abundance. Some people don't believe they deserve something. They can believe in abundance, but they don't think they deserve it. Why not? Why would you not think you deserve it? Again, that's the thinking in your mind. It's the stories you're telling yourself. You have to get rid of those stories and change the story. Sometimes you have to absolutely change what happened. When you, I've done hypnosis on people, and when you have that person in that state where their mind's open, you start to see that maybe the story you told yourself wasn't really what was happening. It was just your interpretation of it. And that often happens to children. And as we were children, something happened, some incident happened in our lives. And so we interpreted one way from our little minds. But that's not really what happened. And so when we go back into our little selves, we can see the bigger picture. That what we thought at the time was not really the truth. But that's a story we've been feeding to ourselves ever since. So believe in the abundance, think abundance, and set your sights on what it is that you really want to accomplish. What is it that you really want? Not what you think you can get. What do you really want? There's quite a difference there. If you only go after what you think you can get, that's not a really huge goal. You have to go after what you really want. And yes, it's going to stretch you, but that's the whole reason for shifting your thinking, is to become the person that you never really thought you could. And then one day you wake up and there you are. There you are. The person you never thought you'd be is right looking at you in the mirror. So get rid of the ideas of failure and limitation. Just get rid of them. Sounds easy, doesn't it? What we have to do is, when one of those ideas of failure come in, just say no and picture the success. Picture the person you want to be. Picture the outcome that you want. What we do is we tend to underrate our own abilities and potential, and we think other people have so much more than we do. And so we think somebody else can do something, but we don't believe we can. I'm here to tell you, you can. If it is a thought in your mind, you have the ability to do it. You may have to draw those abilities out. You may have to have somebody help you draw them out, but you have the ability. We walk by opportunities every single day, whether it's walking by on your computer, an opportunity comes by. That's how I got connected with Bob Proctor. It was a message I got in my inbox from something I probably signed up for and didn't realize, but a message came by and I took the opportunity and I connected and I became a consultant with this company. It was an opportunity that walked in my inbox that I could have easily just deleted. So take small steps. Don't expect something to happen overnight. We live in this very instantaneous society right now where things are moving so quickly. But success doesn't come at the speed of light. Success is never a straight line. It's always a curve. And sometimes we think some people are super lucky and they're super successful because we don't know the journey they've been on. And if you don't know the journey they've been on, trust me, it was not a straight line. Success just doesn't happen that way. There are bumps and obstacles all along the way because we're being tested. And I always look at an obstacle as a test. It's a test to see how badly do you really want this. But every day, take a small step. And it could just be, if you're in business, making a post or picking up the phone, making one call. Just one call. And then the next day, maybe making 2 calls. And maybe the next week, you're going to make 3 calls every day. And just keep adding to it. And you will start to move forward. And in a year, you'll see how far you've grown. And it's a great feeling. So if we think fear, if we think failure, that's what we're going to get because that's what we're asking the universe to give us. And that's the way the laws of the universe work. They work very precisely, just like day follows night. Tide goes out, tide comes in. You have positive poles and negative poles. You have these laws work, action, reaction. And those laws are always there and they work for us too. So if we project that we want to fail at something and we want to struggle and we want lack or we don't think we deserve something, that's what the universe will give us. But if we project abundance and we project the things that we do want and we become emotionally involved in them, just like we become emotionally involved in the negative, we become emotionally involved in what it is we do want, then the universe will work for us that way too. It's the way the laws are. So we need to control our thoughts because our thoughts control our destiny. And if you think of lack and limitation, that's your destiny. If you think of abundance and, excitement and growth, that's your destiny. We think what we become. We always think what we become. You make sure you have no plan B. It's this way, or this is my goal. This is where I'm going. There is no plan B. So it's got to be that. And you burn the bridges. You burn the ships. Can't get off the island because you burn the ships. So you have to realize there's no plan B. Nothing can stop you when you believe that you can do it and you put some action towards it. You can't just sit around thinking about, this is what I want. You have to actually do something different in order to get that. That's the thing that is so funny about mindset. People think all you have to do is change your mindset. They don't have to do anything different. No, you've got to do something different. When you change your mindset, your body will go into a different action. So you change what it is you want, but then you have to do something different. You can't expect to receive that goal if you're not going to change anything. How's that going to work? If you keep the same thinking and the same actions, you're going to get the same results. You must do something different. You have to think something different. You have to do something different to get a different result. So fears and worries will impact that confidence. You've got to protect yourself from fear and worry. And you have to realize that this is natural. When you get an idea of something you want to do, and then as long as it's just kind of floating around your head, nothing happens. But when you start to focus on it and want it, and you start to make it a burning desire, then all hell breaks loose inside of you. And that's perfectly normal, because now you've got this, I want to do it, but I don't think I can. I want to do it. I don't think I can. And so you've got that vibration, but this is what I want. And that's breaking through inside of you. And when that happens, it's a perfectly normal feeling. I think I shared a week or so ago with you that my son applied for a job that's in Okinawa. And so as long as it was just the thought, it was like, oh, that would be kind of fun to go live in a foreign country. And, that would be kind of neat. And as long as it was just, oh, this could happen, it was just fun and exciting. But then when they interviewed him and they liked him and it was starting to become more, this could really happen, he said, I'm excited and scared at the same time, perfectly normal. And I reminded him about the terror barrier. That's exactly where the terror barrier works. You're excited about something, but you're scared. And so now you're in conflict and you have two choices. You can either march right through it and get to the other side, or you can retreat and go back into bondage. And so I reminded him of that terror barrier. I said, you're right there. That's exactly what happens. And so he had a choice. He could say, no, I'm not interested. I just can't go to another country. I'm not brave enough. I'm not, I'm too scared. Or he could say, okay, this is a normal feeling. Everybody who does something like this has this feeling. And so it's my choice. If I want to do this, I've got to just go through it and get that fear and worry away from me. And that's what I chose to do. So you have to keep that in mind. You will get back multiplied what you put out, multiplied. So know what you want, concentrate on with all your attention, be willing to walk through the terror barrier, and keep this in mind. This is from Napoleon Hill's book. He didn't write this, but it was a poem. And it said, I bargained with life for a penny, only to find dismayed that anything I had asked of life, life would have paid. Are you ready to go after what it is that you want? Or are you going to play it small and just take whatever life gives you? It's your choice. It is absolutely your choice. But if you be specific what you want and you get a mentor to help you, and I am more than willing to talk to you, and we can discuss what your plan is and how it's going to go. And if it feels right for you and I to work together, great. If it doesn't, I can maybe steer you to somebody who could help you. But if you feel like it's the right thing, I guarantee you in 12 months, your life will be something unbelievably different than it is today. And while you may not have that goal yet, and that's quite possible, I don't know what your goal would be, but some goals aren't going to come to fruition in 12 months because you have to change a lot of things about you. Some goals will come very quickly because you've already changed. And it's just a matter of getting that all together. So reach out to me. I'm on social media. You can find me as Patricia Stepler. You can find me as Patty Stepler on various social media outlets. And let's chat about what it is that you want to do and how you can accomplish it.